concludes the court's explanation of the legal aspects of this case. Now, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, comes my final instructions to you. Murder in the first degree, premeditated homicide, is the most serious charge tried in our criminal courts. You've listened to the testimonies, and you've had the law read to you and interpreted as it applies to this case. It now becomes your duty to try and separate the facts from the fancy. One man is dead, the life of another is at stake. I urge you to deliberate honestly and thoughtfully. If there is any reasonable doubt, then you must bring me a verdict of not guilty. If, however, there is no reasonable doubt, then you must, in good conscience, find the accused guilty. However you decide, your verdict must be unanimous. In the event you find the accused guilty, the bench will not entertain a recommendation for mercy. The death sentence is mandatory in this case.
You want to know something? I called up for the weather. This is the hottest day of the year. I think they could have at least air conditioned the place. I nearly dropped dead in court.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, everybody's here. If there's anything you want, I'm right outside. Just knock. I don't envy the decision you have to make. I never knew they'd lock the door.
Of course they locked the door. What do you think?
I don't know, it never occurred to me.
Hey, what's that for?
Well, I figured we might want to vote by ballots.
Great idea. Maybe we'll get elected to Senate or something.
So how'd you like it?
I don't know. I guess it was pretty interesting.
Yeah, I was falling asleep.
I mean, I never sat on a jury before.
Really? I sat on juries, and it always amazes me how these lawyers can talk and talk and talk. Even when the case is as obvious as this one. I mean, have you ever heard somebody talk about nothing?
I guess they're entitled to.
Well, sure they're entitled. That's the system. Everybody gets a fair trial. And listen, I'm the last one to say anything against it, but I think it's better if we take these tough kids and slap them down before they cause any trouble. Save us a lot of time and money. Come on, Miss Woman, let's get started already.
Well, I was figuring we should take a 5-minute break. You know, one lady is in bathroom. Miss Woman, are we going to sit in order? I don't know.
Not a bad view, huh? What did you think about this? It had a lot of interest for me. No dead spots, you know what I mean? I'm telling you,
We're so lucky we got a murder case. I just figured down for burglary or assault or something. Just give me the dust.
Jeez,
Say, isn't that the Woolworth building? You know, I've lived here all my life, and I've never been in it.
Such a waste of time.
Yeah, tell me about it. Sitting there 3 days just for this.
What's the matter? You got a cold?
And how? These hot weather colds can kill you. I can hardly touch my nose. Know what I mean?
Oh, your home sounds all right. Now check the lights. I didn't get the chance to look at the newspaper today. Anything new going on?
I was just wondering how the market goes.
Are you in exchange?
I'm a broker.
Really? Well, I'm senior financial executive at JP Morgan. I used to be just a secretary. Now I pretty much run the place. I have 30 people working for me. Come on, let's get started already.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's take seats.
Better be fast. I got book night with the girls at 6. Dolores has had such a big mouth on her lately. Can't wait to teach her a lesson. I've been on a real lucky streak. What's the matter? You got no money to gamble? All right, where do you want us to sit?
Well, I was thinking we should sit according to our jury numbers, 2, 3, 4.
What's the difference of this?
I think it's reasonable to sit according to numbers.
Okay, whatever.
How about sitting down? The gentleman at the window. How about sitting down?
I'm sorry.
It's tough to figure, isn't it? A kid kills his father, bang, just like that.
Well, if you analyze the figures.
What figures? These people, I'm telling you, they let their kids run wild out there. Well, maybe it serves them right. You know what I mean?
What did you think of the prosecuting attorney? I mean, I thought he was amazing. The way he hammered home points one by one in logical sequence, I was very impressed.
Yes, I think they did an expert job.
Yeah, he had drive,
Come on, let's get the show on the road already.
We would like to get started. I'm sorry. All right. Now you, ladies and gentlemen, can handle this any way you want. I mean, I will not have any rules. If we want to discuss first and then vote, that's one way. Or we can vote right now to see how we stand. Well, that's all I have to say.
I think it's customary to take a preliminary vote.
Anything, let's just get started already.
It's up to you. Just let's remember, we have a first-degree murder charge here. If we vote guilty, we'll send accused to electric chair. That's mandatory.
I think we all know that.
Yeah, let's see how we stand.
Yeah, come on, let's vote.
All right. This has to be 12-0 vote either way. That's the law. So please, all those in favor of guilty, raise your hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Not guilty? 1. Right.
Boy, there's always one.
Now we know where we are.
All right, so what do we do now?
Well, I guess we go.
Boy, oh boy.
Listen, you really think he's innocent?
I don't know.
Well, let's be reasonable. You sat in court, you've heard the same things we did. The man is a dangerous killer.
The man, he's 16 years old.
Well, that's old enough. He knifed his own father 4 inches into the chest.
It's pretty obvious. I was convinced from the first day.
Well, who wasn't? I really thought it was one of those open and shut things. They proved it a dozen different ways in court. Would you like me to list them for you?
No,
Then what do you want?
nothing. I just want to talk.
Well, what's there to talk about? 11 people here agreed. Nobody had to think twice about it except you.
I want to ask you something. Do you actually believe his story?
I don't know whether I believe it or not.
So what do you think we're guilty for?
There were 11 votes for guilty. It's not easy for me to raise my hand and send the boy off to his death without at least talking about it first.
Who says it's easy for me?
No.
What, just because I voted fast? I think the kid's guilty. You couldn't change my mind if you talked for 100 years.
I am not trying to change your mind. We are talking about somebody's life here. We can't decide it in 5 minutes. Suppose we're wrong.
Suppose we're wrong. Suppose this whole building fell on my head. You could suppose anything.
That's right.
Well, who's got something to say? How about you?
Nothing.
I'm willing to put it an hour.
Great. I heard this pretty amazing story last night. This woman comes running to the doctor's office, stripped naked to the waist.
That's not why we're here for.
Then you tell me, what are we here for?
Maybe for no reason. I don't know. Look, this boy has been kicked around all his life. You know, living in a slum. His mother dead since he was 9. He spent 1.5 years in an orphanage, while his father was in jail for forgery. That is not a very good head start. He has had a terrible 16 years. I think maybe we owe him a few words. That's all.
I don't mind telling you this, mister. We don't owe him a thing. He got a fair trial, didn't he? How much do you think the trial cost? He's lucky he got it. Know what I mean? Look, we're all grown-ups here. We heard the facts, didn't we? Now, you're not going to tell us that we're supposed to believe the story of that kid, knowing what he is. Look, I've lived among them all my life. You can't believe a word they say. They're natural-born liars.
It suddenly occurs to me that you must be an ignorant man.
What are you talking about? What's she saying?
Do you think you have monopoly on the truth?
What are you making a federal case out of it for? How do you like this old lady?
I think certain things should be pointed at this man.
Okay, listen, it's not a Sunday. We don't need a sermon in here.
Monopoly, for Christ's sake.
If you are going to discuss this case, let's stick to the facts, please.
Right, we have a job to do. Let's do it.
What are you doing?
Oh, this is an ad I'm working on for my agency, Rice Cups, breakfast with the built-in bounce. I wrote that line.
It's always very catchy.
If you don't mind.
Oh, I'm sorry. This habit of doodling helps me thinking clearly.
You know, we have to get some place here. We can sit here forever. Maybe if the gentleman who is disagreeing down there could tell us what he thinks, maybe we can show him where he's probably mixed up.
Well, no. It occurs to me that it is up to us to convince that gentleman over there that we're right and he's wrong. Maybe if we all just took a minute or two? I mean, it's just a quick thought.
No, it's a very good idea.
Okay.
Suppose we go once around the table according to our jury numbers. That means you are first.
Oh, well, okay. I meant to say, I just think he's guilty. I mean, it's obvious from the word go. I mean, nobody proved otherwise.
Nobody has to prove otherwise. The burden of proof is on the prosecution. The defendant doesn't have to open his mouth. That's in the Constitution. You heard it.
Yeah, of course I've heard of it. I mean, I know what it is. I mean, I meant to say, I just think he's guilty. Somebody saw him do it.
Okay, now this is what I think about it. And I have no personal feelings about this. I'm just talking facts. Number one, the old man who lived right underneath the apartment where the killing took place. He said that at 12:10, he heard loud noises coming from the apartment upstairs. He said it sounded like a fight. Then he heard the kid yell out, "I am gonna kill you." And a split second later, he heard the body hit the floor. So the old man ran to the door of his apartment, looked out, and saw the kid running downstairs and out of the house. So he called the police. The police found the boy's father with a knife in his chest.
And the coroner fixed the time of the death at around midnight.
That's right. And I mean, these are facts for you. You can't refute facts. The boy is guilty. And well, I'm a sentimentalist, the next guy, and I know he's only 16. but he still gotta pay for what he did.
I'm with you, sister.
It was obvious to me anyway that the boy's entire story was flimsy. He claimed that he was at the movies during the time of the killing, but 1 hour later he could not remember what film he saw or who played in them. Nobody saw him going into or out of the theater.
Listen, what about the woman across the street? I mean, she saw him do it. If her testament doesn't prove it, then nothing does.
That's fine. She was the one who actually saw the killing.
Let's go in order here.
Listen, here's a woman. Here's a woman who's lying in bed and just can't sleep. She's dying with the heat. You know what I mean? Anyways, she looks out her window, and right across the street, she saw this boy stab a knife into his father. I mean, she has known this boy all his life. His window is right across from hers, right across the L tracks, and she swears she saw him do it.
Through the windows of a passing elevated train.
Right. But this train had no passengers on it, remember? It was just being moved downtown, and the lights were off. And they proved in court that at night, you can't look through the windows of a passing elevated train when the lights are out and see what's happening at the other side. They proved it.
I'd like to ask you something.
Sure.
You don't believe the boy. How come you believe the woman? She's one of them, too, isn't she?
You're quite a smart fellow,
Hey,
aren't
let's
you?
take it easy.
What's he so like? I'm telling you.
Sit down. Don't let him get you all upset for nothing.
Let's calm down now. Let's try to keep it peaceful in here. Whose turn is it? What about you?
Can I pass?
That's your privilege. How about the next lady?
Well, I started to be convinced very early on in the case. I was looking for a motive. That's very important, you know? If there's no motive, then where's the case? So, take that testimony from the people across the hall from the boy's apartment. Didn't they say they heard an argument between the boy and his father around 7 o'clock that night? I mean, I could be wrong.
It was 8 o'clock, not 7.
That's right, 8 o'clock. They said they heard an argument, but they could not hear what it was about. Then they heard the father hit the boy twice, and finally they saw the boy walking angrily out of the house. What does that prove?
Well, it doesn't prove anything. It's just part of the picture. I never said it proved anything.
You said that it revealed a motive for the killing. The prosecution said exactly the same thing. I don't think it's a very strong motive. This boy has been hit so many times that violence is practically a normal state of affairs. I cannot see 2 slaps provoking him into committing murder.
It might have been 2 slaps too many. Everybody has a breaking point.
Anything else?
No.
Okay. How about you?
Who, me? I don't know. I mean, it's practically all been said already. Look, this kid's just no good. I mean, look at his record. When he was 10, he was in children's court for throwing a rock at his teacher. Let's see, at 14, he was in reform school. He stole a car. He was arrested for mugging. Oh, he was even picked up twice for trying to stab another teenager with a knife. Oh, he's real good with a switch knife, they said. This is a real fine boy.
Ever since he was 5 years old, his father beat him regularly. He used his fists.
So would I, a kid like that.
Listen, it's the kids. It's the way they are nowadays. Angry and hostile. Can't do a damn thing with them. You know, when I was his age, I used to call my father Sir. That's right, Sir. You ever hear a kid call his father that nowadays?
Fathers don't seem to think that this is important.
Yeah? Well, you got any kids?
2.
Well, I got one.
It's 20. And I did everything for that kid. And what happened? When he was 9, he ran away from a fight. And I was so ashamed. I almost threw up. So I told him, I'm gonna make a man out of you or else you have to. So I made a man out of him. When he was 16, we had a fight. He hit me. He's big, you know. I haven't seen him since. Rotten kid. Work your heart out. Let's get on with it.
I think we are missing the point here. This boy, let's say he comes from a filthy neighborhood and a broken home. We cannot help that. We are here to decide if he is guilty or innocent of murder, not to go into reasons why he grew up this way. He was born in a slum. Slums are breeding grounds for criminals. I know that, and so do you. It's no secret that children that come from slum backgrounds are potential menaces to society.
Brother, you
Now-
can't say that again. The people who crowd up those places are real trash. I want no piece of them.
Now wait a minute. I lived in Islam all my life. I nursed that same trash in a Harlem hospital 5 days
What
a
are you
week.
talking about? What are making this
I
up?
played in backyard that was full of garbage. Maybe you can still smell it.
Now listen, Sonny, this ain't about you, okay?
Now let's be reasonable. There is nothing
There
personal
is
here.
something personal.
Now calm down, please. Don't get so excited. He didn't mean it personally. Let's not be so sensitive in here, okay?
So sensitive. I understand.
All right, let's stop all this arguing here. We are wasting our time. It's your turn. Let's go.
Well, I didn't expect it. I thought you were all supposed to be convincing me.
Ted,
Wasn't
I
that the
forgot
idea?
that.
Come on, he's the one keeping us here. Let's hear what he's got to say.
Listen, we agreed to do it in a certain way. Let's stick to what we said.
Come on, what are you being such a kid for?
A kid? What do you mean by that?
What do you think I mean? K-I-D. A kid.
What? Just because I'm trying to keep these things organized, you want to try? Now, you sit here. You take all the responsibility. I will just shut up.
Come on, what are you getting so hot about? Just calm down, will you?
Don't tell me to calm down. Here's the chair. You keep going smooth and everything.
Have you ever seen such a thing?
Do you think it's funny or something?
Now calm down. The whole thing's unimportant.
Unimportant. You want to try it?
No. Look, listen, you are doing a beautiful job. Nobody wants to change.
Yeah, you're doing great, honey. You're doing great.
Alright, this year from someone. Anyone?
If you want me to tell you how I feel about it right now, that's all right.
I don't care what you do.
Okay. I don't have anything brilliant, and I only know as much as you do. From the testimony, the boy looks healed, and maybe he. I sat there in court for 3 days listening, while the evidence built up. Everybody sounded so positive that I started getting a peculiar feeling about this trial. I mean, nothing is so positive. I had questions myself that I would have liked to ask. Maybe they wouldn't have meant anything, I don't know. But I started to get the feeling that the boy's lawyer was not doing his job. He let too many things go. Little things.
What little things? I'm telling you, when these people don't ask questions, that's because they know the answers and they figure the case will be heard.
Maybe. But it's also possible for a lawyer to be just plain stupid, isn't it?
Sounds like you met my brother-in-law.
I kept putting myself in the boy's place. I would have asked for another lawyer. I mean, if I was on a trial for my life, I would want my lawyer to tear the prosecution witnesses to shreds, or at least to try. Look, there was one alleged eyewitness to the killing. Someone else claims that he heard the killing and then saw the boy run out afterwards. There was a lot of circumstantial evidence. But actually, those two witnesses were the entire case for the prosecution. Supposing they were wrong.
Supposing they were wrong, what is the point of having witnesses at all?
Could they be wrong?
They stand there under oath. What are you trying to say?
They're only people. People make mistakes. Could they be wrong?
No, I don't think so.
Do you know so?
Look, you can't know a thing like that. This isn't an exact science.
That's right. It isn't.
All right, let's get to the point here. What about the knife? The
minute. I think we ought. There are people who haven't talked yet. Shouldn't they
Listen,
go?
they can talk whenever they like. Just be quiet a second, will you? Now, what about the knife? The knives that our fine, upright boy admitted on buying at the night of the murder? Let's talk about that.
Let's talk about it. Let's get it in here and have a look at it.
We all know what it looks like.
I'd like to see it
When are we
myself.
gonna get out of seeing it again? You brought it up.
Miss Foreman,
The gentleman has a right to see exhibits in evidence. The knife and the way it was bought is pretty strong evidence. Don't you think so?
I do.
Good. Now, suppose we take these facts one at a time. 1. The boy admitted going out at 8 o'clock on the night of the murder after being punched several times by his father.
You didn't say punch, you said hit. There's a difference between a slap and a punch.
After being hit several times by his father. 2. The boy went directly to a neighborhood junk shop where he bought one of those, how do you call them?
Switch knives.
Swiss blade knives. Thank you. 3. This was not what you'd call an ordinary knife. It had a very unusual handle. 4. The storekeeper who sold it to him identified the knife in court and said it was the only one he had ever had in stock. 5. At 8:45, the boy ran into 3 friends of his in front of a diner. Am I correct so far?
yes, you are.
Oh, you bet he is. You listen to this man.
The boy talked with them for about an hour, leaving at 9:45. During this time, they saw the knife. 6. Each of them identified the death weapon in court as that same knife. 7. At 10 p.m., the boy arrived home. Now, this is where the stories given by the boy and the state begin to diverge slightly. According to him, he stayed home until 11:30 and then went to one of those all-night movies. He came back home at 3:15 in the morning to find himself dead and himself arrested. Now, what happened to the switch knife? This is the charming and imaginative fable the boy invented. He claims that the knife fell through a hole in his pocket sometime between 11:30 and 3:15 while he was on his way to the movies, and he never saw it again. Now, this is a tale, ladies and gentlemen. I think that it's pretty clear that the boy never went to the movies that night. Nobody saw him going out of his house at 11:30. Nobody at the theater identified him. He couldn't even remember the names of the pictures he saw. No. What actually happened is this. The boy stayed home, had another fight with his father, stabbed him to death with the knife, and then fled from the house. He even remembered he wiped the knife clean of fingerprints. Everyone connected to the case identified the knife. Now, are you trying to tell us that the knife really fell through a hole in his pocket, and then somebody picked it up from the street, went to the boy's house, and killed his father with it just to be amused?
No. I am just saying that it's possible that the boy lost his knife and someone else used a similar knife to stab his father. It's possible.
Take a look at the knife. I've never seen one like it before. Neither had the storekeeper who sold it to him. Aren't you asking us to accept a pretty incredible coincidence?
I'm not asking anyone to accept anything. I am just saying it's possible.
And I'm saying it's not possible.
Be quiet! Where did you get that knife?
I was working for a couple of hours last night. Just thinking. I walked through the boy's neighborhood. This knife comes from a shop 3 blocks away from the boy's house. It costs $6.
Listen, you pulled a real bright trick here. Supposing you tell us what this means. Maybe there are 10 knives like that.
Maybe there are.
Also, what is that? Did this cover you up the age or something?
It would still be an incredible coincidence for another person to have stabbed the father with the same kind of knife.
That's right, she's right.
It's possible.
But not very probable.
Listen, let's take seats. There is no point in milling around here.
found the knife exactly like the boy brought.
What's interesting? Doesn't prove anything interesting. Listen, there's still 11 of us here who think he's guilty. Yeah, what do you hoping to accomplish? I mean, you're not going to change any of our opinions. So be stubborn and hang the shirt. Go ahead. He's just going to be tried again and found guilty, sure as he's born.
You're probably right.
So what are you going to do? We could be here all night. Oh, brother, anybody got exactly comments?
I don't think she ought to make a joke about it.
What do you want him to do?
Look, I don't understand what all this stuff about knife has to do with anything. Someone saw the boy stab his father. I got 3 guards of mine going to pot while just sitting and talking here. Let's get done and get out of here.
The knife was very important for the district attorney. He spent one whole morning.
He's like the 15th assistant or something. What does he know?
Okay, I think we should get on with it now. These side arguments only slow us up. What about it? You're the only one.
I have a proposition to make to all of you. I want to call for a vote. I want you 11 to vote by secret written ballot. I will abstain. If there are still 11 votes of guilty, I won't stand alone. But if there is 1 vote of not guilty, we stay here and we talk this thing out. That's all. If you want to try it, I'm ready.
Check. I'll go for it. Finally, you're behaving like a reasonable man.
That sounds fair. Anybody object? All right. Let's these alone. Guilty. 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 Not guilty.
Boy, how do you like that?
Another one
Guilty.
was too.
All right, who was it? I want to know.
Excuse me, we agreed that it will be a secret ballot. If the lady and gentleman wants a secret? What do you mean a secret? There are no secrets in the jury room. I know who it was. Brother, you're really something. You come in here and you vote guilty, like everyone else. And then this golden voiced preacher starts telling us stories about a poor slum kid that couldn't help but becoming a murderer, so you change your vote? Well, isn't that the most sickening? Well, why don't you drop a call and wait the election box?
All right, calm down.
Oh, what did she get her in chat?
She's very excitable.
Excitable? Well, you bet I'm excitable. I'm trying to put a guilty man into a chair where he belongs. And somebody's telling us fairy tales, and we're listening?
Take it easy.
What do you mean, take it easy? Tell me, why did you change your vote?
He didn't change his vote. I did.
Oh, brother.
Would you like me to tell you why?
Well, I wouldn't.
Do we have to listen to this?
Excuse me, this lady would like to say something.
Thank you. It's just that this gentleman here has been standing alone against us. He didn't say the boy is not guilty. He just isn't sure. It is not easy to stand alone against the ridicule of others. He gambled for support, and I gave it to him. I respect his motives. The boy on trial is probably guilty, but I would like to hear more. For the time being, the vote is 10-2. Hey, I'm talking to you, you have no right!
She can't hear you.
Well, if the story's over, then maybe we can go on.
I think we should take a 5-minute break. One lady's inside. Let's wait for her.
Looks like we're pretty hung up in here, huh? I think the old lady was very unexpected. Oh, I wish I knew how to break things up, you know? You know, confusing. We work with some pretty strange people. I mean, when I say strange, they have strange way of expressing themselves. But I guess it's the same in every business, right? What do you do again?
I'm a journalist.
Oh, really? Are you going to write about this case?
You know, what happens in a jury room is confidential.
Yeah, I knew that. Anyway, when it gets to a point like this in the meeting, there's always some like guy who has an idea how to break it up, you know? And it kills me the way they proceed that idea with some kind of weird phrase, like, some account executive will say, oh, let's run it up a flagpole and see who salutes it. Or, let's put it on a bus and see who gets out at Wall Street. It's idiotic, but it's funny.
Hey, listen. That thing before, I'm just an excitable person, and I really did not mean to get nasty or anything.
Nice bunch of people.
Is that the same idea?
That loud woman who was telling us about her son. That was an embarrassing thing, the way she was talking. And that poker lady, I just can't believe how selfish she is.
Yeah.
What a murderous day. Do you think we'll be here much longer?
I don't know.
Well, the boy is guilty, for sure. There's not a doubt in the whole world. It should have been done already. I mean, I don't care, you know, it gets me out of the house. But you really think he's innocent?
It's possible.
Well, I don't know you, but I'm betting you've never been wronger in your whole life. I mean, you ought to wrap it up. You're wasting everyone's time.
Suppose you were the one who tried it.
Well, I'm not used to supposing. I'm just a housewife. My husband does the supposing. But sure, I'll try one. Suppose you talk us all out of this, and the boy really did like his father. Okay, let's take seats.
Looks like we'll be here for dinner.
Okay, we should get down to the business. Who wants to start it off?
I will. Now you. Tell me, what do you think about this? So, the old man who lived downstairs and heard the kid yell out, I'm gonna kill you. And a split second later, you heard the body hit the floor. And then you saw the kid run out of the house. What does it all mean to you?
I was wondering how clearly the old man could have heard the boy's voice through the ceiling.
It wasn't through the ceiling, it was through an open window. His window was open, and so was the window upstairs. It was a hot night, remember?
Yeah. The voice came from another apartment. It's not easy to identify a voice, and especially a sound voice.
He identified it in Kurt. He picked the boy's voice out of 5 other voices. Blindfolded.
Check. And don't forget the woman in court. She testified that she saw the boy stab the old man out of an open window. I mean, isn't that enough for you?
Not right now. It isn't.
How do you like this guy? It's like talking to a dead phone.
Yeah.
The woman saw the killing through the windows of a passing elevated train. The train had 6 cars. She saw the killing through the windows of the last 2 cars. I don't see how you can argue with that.
Yeah, what do you think about that?
It doesn't sound right to me.
Well, suppose you think about it.
I wonder if anyone here knows how long does it take for an elevated train going at medium speed? This isn't a game.
Wait a minute. Did you see him?
Please.
That's
Forget it, it's not
absolutely
important.
I mean, it's all over, it's all over. What's all over? I want an apology.
Okay, noisy. He apologizes. Now let's hear what the man has to say.
Thank you. I wonder if anyone here knows how long does it take for an elevated train going at medium speed to pass a given point?
Come on, what's that got to do with
Hello,
anything?
take a guess.
I wouldn't have the slightest idea.
What do you think?
I don't know, 10, 12 seconds maybe?
That's a fair guess, I'd say.
What's all
Anybody
this
else?
for?
That sounds right to me.
What's the guessing game for?
What do you think?
10 seconds approximately.
All right, say 10 seconds. What are you getting at? This. It takes 10 seconds for a 6-car elevated train going at medium speed to pass a given point. Now say that the given point is the window of the apartment that the killing took place. You could reach out of that window and touch the entrance, right?
Right.
Now let me ask you this. Has anybody of you ever lived next to the entrance?
Well, I just visited my sister's new apartment. It's right next to the tracks.
How was it like?
What do you mean?
Noisy?
So noisy I couldn't hear myself think.
I lived in a second-floor apartment next to the entrance once. When the window was open and the train was passing by, the noise was unbearable.
Okay, so the noise was unbearable. Will you get to the point?
I will. Now let's take 2 pieces of the testimony and put them together. First, the old man in the apartment downstairs. He claims he heard the killing, and then he heard the boy shouting, "I am going to kill you." And a split second later, he heard the body hit the floor. 1 second later, right?
That's right.
Second, the woman in the apartment across the street. She says she saw the killing through the windows of the last 2 cars of the train. Through the last 2 cars, right?
All right, will you get to the point?
I will. Now, we agree that it takes 10 seconds for a 6-car elevated train going at medium speed to pass a given point. Since the woman across the street claims that she saw the killing through the last 2 cars of the train, we can assume that the body hit the floor just as the train passed by. Therefore, the train was rolling next to the old man's window for a full 10 seconds before the body hit the floor. The old man, according to his testimony, hearing the boy saying, "I'm going to kill you," and then 1 second later hearing the body hit the floor, must have heard the boy make this statement with the train right past his nose. It's not possible he could have heard this.
That's idiotic. Sure, he could have heard it.
Do you think so?
I know so. The old man said he heard the kid yell it out, and that's enough for me.
Even if he heard anything, he could not have identified the boy's voice with the train right next to him.
You're talking about a matter of seconds here. Nobody can be that accurate.
Well, I think that the testimony that to send the boy to the electric chair should be that accurate.
I don't think he could have heard it.
Maybe he didn't hear it with the train noise.
What are you people talking about?
Well, it stands to reason.
What? That's idiotic. Why should he lie? What's he got to gain?
Attention, maybe.
You know, you keep coming up with these bright sayings. Why don't you send one into the newspaper? They pay $3, you know?
Hang on. What are you talking to her like that for? Someone who talks to an old woman like that ought to really learn some respect.
Get your hands off me.
You ought to learn some manners, miss. Weren't you just blabbering about being taught to respect your elders as a child? Go ahead. You can say anything you'd like. Why do you think the old man might lie?
It's just that I look at this man for a very long time. The seam under his jacket was split, under his arm. Did you notice it? I mean, an old man with a torn jacket. And he was walking very slowly to the stand. And he was dragging his left leg and trying to hide it. Because he was ashamed. I think I know this man better than anyone else here. This is a quiet, frightened, insignificant old man who has been nothing all his life. Nobody listens to him. Nobody quotes him. Nobody seeks his advice after 75 years. It's a very sad thing to be nothing. A man like this needs to be listened to be quoted. Just once. It's very important. It was so hard for him to recede into the background.
Come on, are you trying to tell us this guy lied just so he could feel important once?
No, he wouldn't really lie. But he might make himself believe that he has actually heard those words and recognized the boy's face.
Isn't that the most fantastic story ever? I mean, how can you even come up with a thing like that? What do you know?
Anybody want a cough drop?
I'll take it.
Say what you like. I still don't see how anybody could believe the boy is not guilty.
I would like to talk about something else for a moment. I think we already proved that the old man could not have heard the boy shouting, "I'm going to kill you." But suppose...
What do you mean you proved it? You didn't prove it at all.
Supposing he really did hear it. This phrase, "I'm going to kill you." How many times each one of us has used it? Probably hundreds. Come on, Rocky, kill him. Junior, if you do this one more time, I'm going to kill you. I'll kill you for that, darling. We say it all the time, but it does not mean that we're going to kill someone.
Listen, what are you trying to give us here? The phrase was, "I am going to kill you." The kid screamed it out at the top of his lungs. Every time somebody says a thing like that in such a way, they mean it.
Well, gee, I was arguing with the guy over next at the bank a couple of weeks ago, so he called me an idiot, so I
Listen,
yelled
this
at
guy,
him.
he's making you believe things that aren't so. The kid said he was going to kill him, and he did kill him.
Do you really think that the kid would shout out a thing like this, so the whole neighborhood could hear it?
Sure.
I don't think so. He's much too bright for that.
Too bright for that. He's a common ignorant slob. He don't even speak good English.
It doesn't even speak good English.
Miss Foreman, I'd like to change my vote to not guilty.
Oh, I knew right out.
You heard me. Are you sure?
Yes, I'm sure.
The vote is 9-3 in favor of guilty.
Well, doesn't this just beat all? I mean, what do you base it on? Stories this guy's making up? I'm telling you, he ought to be writing for Amazing Detective Monthly. He'd make a fortune. Listen, there are facts staring in the face, and every single one of them says that this kid killed his old man. I mean, for crying out loud, his lawyer knew he didn't stand a chance right from the very beginning. You could see it. This kid deserves a chair.
That's it. It has happened before that someone was convicted for murder and later executed. And somebody else afterwards had confessed to the crime. Sometimes the facts that stare you right in the face are wrong.
I was talking to him, not you. Boy, how do you like this guy? Listen, the kid had a lawyer, didn't he? And the lawyer presented the case, not you. So how come you all of a sudden got so much to say?
The lawyer was caught upon.
So what?
So what? So what does it mean? It could mean a lot of things. It could mean that he didn't want the case. It could mean that he resented being appointed. It's the kind of case that brings him nothing. No money, no glory. Not even much chance of winning. He would really have to believe in his client to make a good fight. And as you proved a minute ago, he obviously didn't.
Well, who could? I mean, except maybe God come to earth or somebody. Come on, look at the time.
Pardon me, but I have made some notes here.
Here we go again.
I would like please to say something. I have been listening very closely, and it seems to me that this man has some very good points to make. From what was presented at the trial, the boy looks guilty, but maybe we could
Come on, will you?
There is a question I would like to ask. We assume that the boy committed the murder. He stabbed his father in the chest and went away. This was at 10 minutes after 12. Now, how was he caught by the police? He came home at 3 o'clock or so and was captured by 2 detectives in his hallways of his house. My question is, if he really had killed his father, why would he come back 3 hours later? Wouldn't he be afraid of being caught?
Well, look, he came home to get his knife because it's not nice to leave knives sticking around in people's chests. Yeah, especially if it's a relative.
The boy thought that there were people who identified the knife as the one he had just got. He had to get it before the police did.
But if he knew that the knife could be identified, why did he leave it there in the first place?
Well, I think we can assume that the boy ran away in a state of panic after killing his father, and only later, when he finally calmed down, he realized that he had left the knife there.
This then depends on your definition of panic. He was calm enough to see to it there were no fingerprints on the knife. Now, where did his panic start and where did it end?
Look, you can forget all the other stuff. He came home to get his knife and get rid of it.
3 hours later.
Well, sure, 3 hours later.
If I was a boy, and I
there? How would be afraid that the police would be there? How would stay away? Knife for a knife. Listen, you voted guilty, didn't you? What side are you on? I don't believe I have to be loyal to the one side as yours are. I am simply asking questions.
Well, okay. If I've been the boy, and done the stabbing and everything, I think I'd take my chances and go back for the knife. See, the boy probably assumed that nobody had seen him do it, and that the body wasn't discovered yet. After all, it was the middle of the night. He probably thought the body would be discovered until the next day.
Helen, here is my whole point. The woman across the street testified that the moment she saw the killing, that is, a moment after the train went by, she screamed and then telephoned the police. Now, the boy must certainly have heard that scream and known that somebody saw something. I don't think he would have gone back if he had been the murderer.
2 points. 1, in his state of panic, he may not have heard the scream. Perhaps it wasn't very loud. And 2, even if he did hear the scream, he wouldn't have connected it with his own act. Remember, he lives in a neighborhood where screams are fairly commonplace.
Right, and there is your answer.
Maybe. Maybe the boy did knife his father. Didn't hear the woman's screams. Did run out in panic. And did come down 3 hours later to return and get his knife, risking getting caught by the police. Maybe all these things are so, but maybe they are not. I think at this point, there is enough doubt here to make us wonder whether the boy was there at all during the time the killing took place.
What do you mean, doubt? What's he talking about? Didn't old man see the boy running out of the house? He's twisting the facts, I'm telling you. Did or didn't old man see the boy run out of the house at 12:10? Well, did you or didn't he?
Says he did.
He says he did? Boy, how do you like that? Well, didn't the woman across the street see the boy stab a knife into his father? She says she did. You make it sound like it don't matter what people say nowadays. What you want to believe, you believe. What you don't want to believe, you don't. What kind of a way is that? Why do you think these people get up on the witness stand for? Their help? I'm telling you. Facts are being changed around here. Witnesses are being doubted, and there's no reason for it.
Witnesses can make mistakes.
Of course witnesses can make mistakes. When you want them to.
Let's hold the yelling down.
You keep saying that, but maybe what we really need in here is some yelling. Did hear the scream, didn't hear the scream. What's the difference? They are just minor details. We are missing the important point here. All of us and everyone's...
I want to call for another vote.
Listen, I'm talking here. You have no right to interrupt
There
me
is
like that.
another vote called for. Let's take seats.
What are we going to gain by voting again?
I don't know, the gentleman asked.
I've never seen so much time spent on nothing.
It only takes a second.
Okay. I think the fastest way is to find out who is voting not guilty. So, all those in favor of not guilty, raise your hands. 1, 2, 3. Still the same. 3
So
not
what do we do
guilty,
now?
1 guilty.
We can yak the act till next Tuesday. Really, what does it get us?
Helen, I got not guilty.
Oh,
Come on, are we all doing crazy here or something? Why don't you listen to the facts? Tell him, will you? Tell him. I mean, this is getting to be a goddamn joke. I mean, everybody's heart is starting to bleed out for this punk kid like the president declared it, I don't know, love your underprivileged brother week or something.
The vote is 8 to 4 in favor of guilty.
Tell me, why change your vote? I want reasons. I don't have to defend my decision to you. I have a reasonable doubt in my mind. Reasonable doubt? Well, that's great. You know, take a look at this, Miss Reasonable Doubt. You see this knife? This is the knife that the boy you just decided isn't guilty was seen ramming into his father's chest. What about that?
That's not the knife, remember?
Well, really? Listen, this is the craziest. I mean, you're sitting there pulling the bird in the air. Why would we believe?
It's like this guy trying to tell us that Germany won the war or something. Look, what about the old man? Are we really supposed to believe that he didn't get out of his bed, run to the front door, and see the kid tearing down the stairs 15 seconds later? That he's just saying he did to feel important? I mean, what's the point of the whole trial?
Hold it a second.
Now, what do you want?
Did the old man say he ran to the door?
Ran, walked, what's the difference?
He said he ran to the door. At least I think he did. Yeah, I don't remember exactly, but I can't see how he could have ran to the door.
He said he went from his bedroom to the front door. That's enough, isn't it?
Wait a minute. Where was his bedroom again?
Down the hall somewhere. I thought you remembered everything. Don't you remember that?
No. Miss Foreman, I would like to see a diagram of the apartment.
Great, and why don't we just run over the whole trial?
Miss
before we
Foreman!
go at it?
I heard you.
Okay, what's going on here? How come you're the only one that wants to see exhibits all the time?
I want to see this one.
Well, then I want to stop wasting time!
Listen, if you're going to start wading through all that business about where the body was found, I would avoid wasting time
No,
on our
we're not.
test.
Not unless someone else wants it. I would like to see how a very old man that drags his one leg because he had a stroke last year can get from his bed to his front door in 15 seconds.
He said
He
20.
said 15.
What are you trying to distort here? You said 20. He said 15. How does he know how long 15 seconds is? How can you judge that kind of thing?
He said 15 seconds. He was very positive about
Oh, you saw him. He was an old man. Half the time he was confused. How could you be positive about...
Well, I don't understand what you're trying to prove here. The old man testified that he said he saw the boy running.
Okay. Well, let's see if the details bear him out. As soon as he heard the body hit the floor, he heard footsteps from the upstairs apartment going towards his front door. Then he heard the front door unlocking, and the footsteps continued down the staircase. He got to the front door as fast as he could. He swore it could not have been more than 15 seconds. Now, if the killer started running immediately,
Well, maybe he didn't.
the old man said he did.
Wow, you two want to get in Atlantic City at that hair split as you mentioned.
Listen, poker face. You want to stop making smart remarks all the time.
Sweetheart, in your position, you might want to do a little more listening and less talking.
Well, now that you've got that thing in here, what about it?
May I? Thank you. This is the apartment that the killing took place. The old man's apartment is directly beneath it and exactly the same. Here are the entrances. Here is the kitchen, living room, bedroom, hallway, front door and staircase. Now the old man was at bed in this room. He says he got up, went out into the hallway, down the hallway, opened the door just in time to look at the boy racing down the stairs. Am I right so far?
Well, that's the story for the 19th time.
15 seconds after he heard the body fall.
Correct.
Now, his bed was at the window. The length of the bedroom is 12 feet. The length of the hallway is 43 feet. So, he had to get up out of bed, walk 12 feet the length of the bedroom, open the bedroom door, then walk 43 feet until his front door and open it. Do you think he could have done it?
Sure, he could have done it.
In 15 seconds.
You can only move very slowly. So you have 12 even to the witness chair. You're making it sound like it was a long walk. It really wasn't.
For an old man who had a stroke last year, it is a long walk.
This is the old man's bed.
What's going on there?
I want to try it.
What do you
I want to see
mean?
how long it takes.
What do you mean you want to try? How come the kid's lawyer didn't bring it up if it was so important?
Maybe he didn't think of it.
What do you think? What do you mean he didn't think of it? It's an obvious thing, isn't it?
Did you think of it?
Now listen, smart
11,
face.
12. Can you pass it, sir? Thank you. That is the old man's bed. I placed 12 feet, which is the length of the hallway, and the length of the bedroom. So this is the old man's bedroom door.
You're
The length,
crazy.
the length of the hallway is 43 feet. I'm going to pace to that wall and back.
You're crazy. You can't recreate a thing like that.
Come on, what's the point of wasting everybody's time here?
According
Let's
to
get
you,
done.
it takes only 15 seconds. We can spare that.
Can you please stand here? She will mark the front door of the apartment. Now, according to the testimony, the door was chain locked. Who has a watch with the second hand?
I have.
I want you to stamp your foot. That would be the body falling. I want you to time it from there.
Great. Anyone for charades? I've never seen anything like this in my whole entire life.
I'm ready.
Come on! I want to wait till the second hand reaches 60.
Come on, snap it up, will you? You walk twice as fast as that.
This is even more quickly than the old man walked into court.
If you want me to go faster, I will.
Come on, let's get this stuff over with.
Look, door, stop.
Right.
What's the time?
At 30, 40, 42 seconds exactly.
42 seconds.
I think this is what happened. The old man heard the argument between the father and his boy a few hours earlier. Then, while lying in bed, he heard the body hit the floor. He heard the woman scream from across the street. He got up, tried to get to his front door as fast as he could, and heard someone racing down the stairs. And he assumed it was the boy.
I think that's possible. Assumed? Now listen to me. I've seen all kinds of dishonesty, right there, but this little display takes the cake. You come in here with your side showing your stocks about poor slum kids and injustice, and suddenly you start getting through to some of these old ladies here. You're not gonna do it to me. I've had enough. Well, what is the matter with you people? Everyone here knows the kid is guilty. He's got to burn, and we're letting him slip through our fingers here.
Slip through our fingers? Are you his executioner?
Well, I'm one of them.
Maybe you'd like to pull the switch.
For this gig, you bet I'd like to pull the switch.
I'm sorry for that.
Don't start with me now.
Ever since we walked into this room, you are behaving like a self-appointed public avenger.
Telling you now, shut up.
You want to see this boy die because you personally wanted it, not because of the facts.
I'm telling you, shut up.
You are saying...
Shut up, you son of a bitch. I'll kill him. I'll kill him.
Now you don't really mean you're gonna kill him, do you?
Is there anything wrong, ladies and gentlemen? I heard some noise.
No, there's nothing wrong. Everything's perfect. Just a little friendly argument, you know.
We are done with this.
Okay.
Well, what are y'all staring at?
It's getting late. What do they do? Take us out for a restaurant for supper?
How do I know?
I wonder if they let us finish and let us go in case we can't finish tonight. I've got a boy with mums. He's out till here. My wife says he looks like Khrushchev.
Okay. I guess somebody should start it off again.
Hey, Kevin.
I beg pardon, what are you so polite about?
For the same reason as you know. This is why I was brought up. Look, this fighting. This is not why we are here. Fight? We have a responsibility. This, I have always thought, is a remarkable thing about democracy. That we are notified by mail to come down to this place and decide on the guilt or innocence of a man we have never heard of before. We have nothing to gain or lose by our verdict. This is one of the reasons we are strong. We should not make it a personal thing.
Right. Well, if nobody else has anything to say, I may have a cutie. Okay, I didn't put a lot of thought into it, but I'm just gonna throw it on the stoop and see if the cat licks it up, okay?
See if the cat
Licks it up? Well, it wasn't much of an idea anyway. Man, look how dark it's getting. It's gonna storm for sure.
Boy, it's hot. Harden, don't you ever slack?
No, I don't.
Miss Foreman, I was wondering if maybe we shouldn't take another vote.
It's all right with me. Anyone doesn't want to vote?
Okay, let's have an open ballot. Call out our votes, you know. Let's do as where.
That sounds fair. The last vote was 8-4 in favor of guilty. Okay, I will call off your jury numbers. Number 1? Oh, wait, that's me. I vote guilty. Number 2?
Not guilty.
Number 3?
Guilty.
Number 4?
Guilty.
Number 5?
Not guilty.
Number 6?
Not guilty.
Number 7?
Guilty.
Number 8?
Not guilty.
Number 9?
Not guilty.
Number 10?
Guilty.
Number 11?
Not guilty.
Number 12? Number 12?
Guilty.
It's 6 to 6.
Great, now we're gonna split pies.
I mean, some of you people in here are out of your minds. A kid like that?
The kind of boy he is has nothing to do with the case. The facts are supposed to determine the case.
I had enough about facts. You can twist them around whichever you like. Know what I mean?
That's exactly what this gentleman here has been trying to say. I mean, you kept shouting at the top of your lungs. I would like to be a little younger. It's very hot here. Don't drink.
It's going to rain.
No, how'd you figure that one out, Blue Eyes?
Tell me, how come you switched?
I just see there
I
was
mean, you know you have a
room
bit of
for-
leg to stand on, don't you?
No, that is not so. There were a lot of details that
Details? What are you talking about? You know what? You're just like them. You think too much. You get mixed up. You know what I mean?
No, listen. You have no right to talk to me like that. Loud.
Wow. Look how strong the rain is. Do you think it will cool things up?
I guess so.
Boy, look at it go. It reminds me of a storm we had in November something. Just in the middle of our school trip to Central Park. It was chaos. I told you I'm a second grade school teacher, right? Anyway, all of a sudden it started coming down, cats and dogs. In 2 minutes, there was mud up to your knees. The kids got so dirty. You should have seen the looks their parent gave me at the end of the day.
Some rain, huh? Well, what'd you think of it? Even Steven. Kind of surprising, isn't it?
Yes. Yes.
Well, listen, that thing before with that guy, he was just trying to bait me. Where does he get off calling me a sadist and a public avenger? Anybody in their right mind would want to defend themselves. He was just trying to bait me.
He did an excellent job.
I'll tell you what I think. We're just talking here and going nowhere. I'm ready to walk into the courtroom right now and declare a hung jury.
Hey, I go for that. I say we take it into the judge. Let this kid take his chances with 12 other people.
What are you talking about? That's the most idiotic thing I've ever heard. You took an oath in the courtroom. You can't just quit.
Why not?
Because it's dishonest. Why didn't you vote not guilty then?
I voted guilty because I think the kid is guilty.
And now what? You don't care what happened?
No, why should I?
I don't think the court is going to accept a hung jury.
Well, let's find
You
out.
haven't been here long enough.
I'm not in favor of this.
Come on. We're hung. We're not going to change his opinion. Let's just take it in already.
You still don't think there's any room for reasonable doubt?
No, I don't.
Second, maybe you don't fully understand the term reasonable doubt.
What do you mean I don't understand it? Who the hell are you to talk to me like that? I'm telling you. How do you like the nerve of this girl? These journalists are all alike. They think they're so much smarter than everyone. The arrogance.
So you're calling her arrogant because of her job? I'm calling you arrogant because of how you behave.
Please, it doesn't matter.
No. Nobody's going to tell me what words I understand and what words I don't.
All right, let's stop all this arguing in here for 2 minutes, please. Can we stick to the subject? Who's got something to say?
I have. An important point for the prosecution was the fact that the boy, after he claimed he was at the movie during the time the killing took place, could not remember the names of the pictures he saw or the stars that were in it. This gentleman has repeated this point in here several times.
That's correct. It was the only alibi the boy offered, and he could not back it up with any detail at all.
Putting yourself in the boy's place, if you can, do you really think you could remember any details after such an upsetting experience, such as being struck in the face by your father?
Yes, I think so. If there were any special details to remember, he could not remember the names of the movies he saw that night, simply because he didn't go there.
According to the police testimony in court, the boy was questioned by the police in the kitchen of his apartment, while the body of his father was lying in the bedroom floor. Do you really think the boy would be able to remember any details under such circumstances?
I do.
Under great emotional stress?
Under great emotional stress.
He remembered the movies in court?
Yes, the boy's lawyer took great pains to bring that out. Now, the boy had 3 months between the night of the murder and the day of the trial in which to memorize them. I will personally stick to the testimony of the policeman who interrogated him right after the murder, while he could not remember a thing about the movies, great emotional stress or not.
I'd like to ask you a personal question.
Go ahead.
Where were you last night?
I was home.
What about the night before that?
I went from court to my office and stayed there until 8:30. Then I went straight home to bed.
What about the night before that?
What's all this for?
That's alright. The night before was Tuesday. Tuesday was the night of the bridge tournament. I played bridge.
And Monday night?
And when you get him down and you use 1950, let me know.
Monday I went to the movies.
What did you see?
The Scarlet Circle. It's a very clever mystery.
What was the second feature?
The Remarkable Mrs. Something. I'll tell you in a minute. It was the Remarkable Mrs. Bainbridge. No, Bainbridge. The Remarkable Mrs. Bainbridge.
Excuse me, I saw it. It's called The Amazing Mrs. Bainbridge.
Yes, the amazing Mrs. Bainbridge. That's correct.
Who was in the amazing Miss Bainbridge?
Barbara Lang or something like that. She was a cute, dark, very pretty girl.
Who else?
Well, I've never heard of it. It was an inexpensive second feature with unknown actors. I've never heard of it, and I think...
And you were not under any emotional stress, were you?
No. No, I was not.
I think the point is made.
Big point.
It is a big point.
What? Just because he can't remember the name of some 2-bit movie star? I guess that means the kid was at the movies, huh?
No, but it indicates that no one can prove he wasn't. He might have been at the movies, and he forgot about what he saw. It's possible. It is perfectly normal for the gentleman over there to forget about a few details. Then it is also perfectly normal for the boy. I mean, being accused of murder isn't necessarily supposed to give you infallible memory.
You know what? You can talk till your tongue is dragging on the floor. The kid is guilty. Period. Who's got those cough drops anyways?
They're all gone, my friend.
What time is it?
It's 25 to 6. What about my poker game?
Looks like your poker game's going down the drain.
Sally, could I see that knife for a second?
Well, we are still tied up 6 to 6. Who's got a suggestion?
I do. Let's have dinner.
Why don't we wait till 7? Let's give it another hour.
Excuse me, there's something I'd like to say. It's been bothering me a while, and as long as we are stuck. There was this whole business about the stab wound, the way it was made, the downward angle of it, you know?
Okay, don't tell me we're gonna start with that. They went over it and over it.
I know they did, but I don't go along with it. I mean, the father is 6'2", and the boy is 5'7". That's a difference of 7 inches. It's a very awkward thing to step down into somebody who's more than half a foot taller than you are.
Give me that. Okay. Now, you all are not going to be satisfied until you see it again. So I'm going to give you a demonstration. Somebody, get up. Any volunteers? Okay, now watch this, because I don't want to have to do it again. Okay, so I'm 6 or 7 inches shorter than you, right?
That's right, maybe a little more.
Fine, let it be a little more. Calm down, nobody got hurt, right?
Nobody's here.
Okay, now take a look at it. There's your angle. Down and in. That's how I stabbed a man who was taller than me, and that's how it was done. Now go ahead. Tell me that I'm wrong.
Down and in. There's no argument.
Wait a minute. Can I see the knife? I hate these things. I grew up with them.
Have you ever seen them used in fights?
Too many of them. On my stoop, in my backyard, in the parking lot across the street. Switch knife came with the environment I lived in. It's funny, I really didn't think about it before. I guess you try to forget those things. You don't use this kind of knife that way. You have to hold it like this to release the blade. In order to stab downwards, you have to change the grip.
How do you use it?
Underhanded. Anyone who'd ever use a knife like this wouldn't handle it any other way.
Are you sure?
Yes, I'm sure. That's why they are made like this.
Everybody here agreed that the boy was quite handy with a knife, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Do you think he would have made this kind of wound in his father's chest?
No, not with the experience he had with these things. No, he would go for him underhand.
How do you know? Were you there when the father was killed?
No, but neither was anybody else.
Listen, you're giving us a lot of mumbo jumbo here. I don't believe it.
I don't think you can determine what kind of wound the boy might or might not have made simply because he knows how to handle a knife.
That's right, he's right.
What do you think?
Well, I don't know.
Well, what do you mean you don't know?
I don't know.
What about you?
Listen, I'll tell you something. I'm sick of this whole thing already. I mean, we've been yakety-yakking and we're getting nowhere. So I'm going to break it up in here. I'm changing my vote to not guilty.
You're what?
You heard me. I had it. What do you mean you had it? That's no answer. Just worry about yourself.
She's right. That's not an answer. What kind of person are you? You have sat here and voted guilty with everyone else because you find gambling with your friend more important than the man's life? Now, you have changed your vote because you say you're sick of...
Now listen.
You have no right to play like this with a man's life. It's a terrible and ugly thing to do. Don't you care?
Now listen, you can't talk to me like that.
I can't talk like that to you. If you want to but not guilty, then do it. Because you're convinced that the man is not guilty. Not because you're bad enough. Oh, if you think he's guilty, then vote that way. Oh, don't you have the guts to do what you think is right?
Now listen.
Guilty or not
Look,
guilty?
I said not guilty.
Why?
I don't have to tell you anything. I mean,
You have to say it why.
because I don't think he's guilty.
I want another vote.
Okay. There is another vote called for. Anybody object? I guess the quickest way is a show of hands. So, Please, all those voting not guilty, raise your hands. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Guilty? 1, 2, 3. The vote is 9 to 3 in favor of not guilty.
I don't understand you people. I mean, all these picky little points you keep bringing up, they don't mean nothing. How can you believe his story? You're an intelligent woman. Well, you're not going to tell me you're not. You know the facts of life. For Christ's sake, look at what we're dealing with here. You know what they're like. Okay, look. Let's talk facts. These people are born to lie. Well, that's true, and no intelligent man is going to tell me otherwise. They don't know what the truth is. Where are you going? While you're in there, clean your ears. Maybe you'll hear something. Just look at them. They're different. They act different. They think different. They don't even have a big excuse to kill anyone. Well, that's true, and everybody knows it. They get drunk on wine or some cheap shit like that. Oh, they're big drinkers, you know. And then, bam, someone like that in the gutters. Okay, no one's blaming them for it. That's just the way they are, by nature. Wild. Human life don't mean as much to them as it does to us.
Now you just stop all that. We've heard enough.
Now you better listen to me. These people are boozing it up, and they're fighting all the time. And if somebody gets killed, somebody gets killed. They don't care. Family don't mean anything to them. Fathers, mothers don't mean nothing. Okay, look. I have known some good things about them. I'm the first one to say it. I have known some that were okay. But that's the exception.
Okay, maybe you should just quiet down.
I will like hell quiet down. Now let me lay this out for you ignorant bastards. There's not one of them who's any good. Do you hear that? Not one. You mister, I want to try this out. You think you're so goddamn smart. We are facing a danger here. Don't you know it? These people are multiplying. This kid on trial, his type is multiplying 5 times as fast as we are. That's the statistic. 5 times. And they're wild animals. They're against us. They hate us. They want to destroy us. Don't look at me like that. We are facing a danger here. For God's sake, this is a dangerous time. And if we don't step it up, if we don't smack them down whenever we can, they're going to own us. They're going to breathe us out of existence. Wait! Where are you going? Listen to me. These people, they're violent animals. They're vicious. They're ignorant. And they want to cut us up. That's their intent. To cut us up. I'm warning you. This kid on trial, he's one of them. And we got him. I said let's get him before he's gonna get us.
We've heard enough. Now sit down and don't open your filthy mouth again.
It's very hard to keep personal prejudice out of opinions. And no matter where you run into it, it always obscures the truth. I don't think any real damage has been done here. Because I don't really know what the truth is. No one ever will. 9 of us now seem to feel that the boy is innocent. But we are just gambling on probabilities. We may be wrong. We may be sending a guilty man back to the community. We will never know. But we have a reasonable doubt. And this is a safeguard that has enormous value in our system. No jury can declare a man guilty unless it's sure. We 9 cannot understand how you 3 are still so sure. Maybe you can tell us.
I will try. You've made some excellent points. The last one in particular, in which you argued that the boy wouldn't have made the kind of wound that killed his father, was very convincing. But still, I think that the boy is guilty of murder, and I have 2 reasons for that. One is the evidence of the woman across the street, who actually saw the murder committed.
And as far as I'm concerned, that's the most important testimony in the whole case.
And 2, the fact that this woman described the stabbing by saying that the boy raised his arm over his head and plunged the knife down into his father's chest. She saw him do it the wrong way.
That's right, that's absolutely right.
Now, let's talk about this woman for a minute. She said she went to bed at 11 o'clock that night. The bed was next to the windows, and as she was lying down, she could look out and see directly into the boy's window across the elevated tracks. She tossed and turned for about an hour, unable to fall asleep. Finally, she turned towards the windows at 10 minutes after 12, and as she looked out, she saw the killing through the windows of the passing elevated train. She says that the light went immediately out after the killing, but she got a good look at the boy in the act of stabbing his father. As far as I can see, this is unshakable testimony.
And that's what I mean, that's the whole case.
What do you think? How about you?
Well, there was a lot of evidence to sift through.
Frankly, I don't see how we can vote for not guilty.
Well, it's very hard to put all the evidence in order. This is a very complicated business.
You can forget all the other evidence. The woman saw him do it. What else do you want?
Well, maybe...
Let's vote on it. Huh? Miss Foreman.
Okay, there is another vote called for.
Okay, I've changed my mind. I think he's guilty.
Okay. 8-4. Anybody else?
What makes you consider this one about the rest of our triumph?
I'm the competitive type, okay? So, anybody else? Okay, now this is what I think. I think we're a hung jury. Let's take it into the judge.
You didn't want a hung jury before.
Well, I want it now.
I don't understand it. You thought it was immoral.
I don't anymore. There are some people in here that are so goddamn stubborn. We'll be in here for a week. So, I say we're a hung jury. I want arguments. Well, okay, you're the leader of the cause. What about it?
Let's go over it again.
We went over it again, and Mr. J. Walter Thompson over here is wanting custody. You
All right,
understand?
all right. Maybe we should set some sort of time limit. What time is it?
6:15.
6:15. Gentlemen here before mentioned 7 o'clock. I think that at that time we should start discussing whether we are a hung jury or not.
Don't you feel well?
I feel perfectly well, thanks. I was saying that 7 o'clock would be a reasonable time.
The reason I asked was because you were rubbing your nose. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but you were making a gesture.
I'm trying to settle something here. Would you mind?
It's very important.
Very well.
Thank you. I'm sure you'll pardon me for this. Now, I was wondering, why were you rubbing your nose like that?
Well, if it's any of your business, I was rubbing it because it bothers me a little.
So, I'm sorry. Is it because of your eyeglasses?
Yes, it is. Now, can we get onto something
Yeah,
useful?
come on now, will you?
Right now, I happen to be talking to this gentleman here.
So your eyeglasses made those deep impressions on the side of your nose. I hadn't noticed it before. It must be very annoying.
Yes, they are. They are very annoying.
I didn't know about that. I've never worn any eyeglasses in my life. 2020.
Can we just get on with it, please?
The woman who testified that she saw the killing had the same deep marks on the side of her nose.
That's right, she did.
Please, please, just a minute, and I'll be finished. I hadn't noticed it. I don't know if any of you have noticed it before. I didn't think about it. But I've been going over her face in my mind. She had those marks, and she kept rubbing them in court.
Yeah, she's right. She did do that a lot.
This woman is about 45 years old. She made a tremendous effort to make herself look like a 35 for her first public appearance. She put on heavy makeup, dyed her hair, and put on brand new clothes that should have been worn by the younger woman. And no eyeglasses. See if you can get a mental picture.
What do you mean no eyeglasses? How do you know if she had eyeglasses on? Just because she was rubbing her nose?
Yeah, I saw those marks.
So what does that mean?
Listen, I saw them too. He's right. And I was the closest one sitting next to her. She had those...
What point are you making?
She had those marks.
Okay, fine. So she had dyed hair and marks on her nose. I'm asking you what it means.
Can those marks be made by anything other than eyeglasses?
No, they couldn't.
What are you talking about? I didn't see any marks.
I saw them. It's strange, but I never thought about it before.
Did you ever see a woman that had to wear glasses and she didn't want it because she thought they spoiled her looks?
Well, okay. So this woman had dyed hair and marks on her nose from glasses, right? Fine. I'm giving you that. And she didn't want to wear them out of the house so people would think she was gorgeous. Okay. But when she saw the murder committed, she was in the house alone. That's all.
Do you wear eyeglasses when you go to bed?
No, I don't. Nobody wears glasses to bed.
It's logical to say that she didn't wear them while she was at bed tossing and turning trying to fall asleep.
Well, how do you know?
I don't know, I'm guessing. I'm also guessing that she didn't wear them when she got up and looked casually out of the window. She herself said that the moment she looked out, the killing just took place, and 1 second later the lights went off. She couldn't have enough time to hear.
Oh, come on, wait a
And
second.
here's another case. Maybe she honestly thought that she saw the boy stab his father. I say she only saw a blur.
Oh, how does he know all these things? How does he know what kind of glasses she wore? Maybe she was farsighted. Maybe they were sunglasses. How does he know all these things?
I only know that the woman's eyesight is in question now.
She had to identify a man 60 feet away in the dark without glasses.
You can't send somebody off to die in evidence like
Oh,
that.
don't give me that.
Don't you think the woman might have made a mistake?
No.
It's not possible.
No, it's not possible.
Is it possible?
Yes. Say not guilty.
Do you think that the boy is guilty?
I think he's guilty, but I don't care what you do.
How do you vote?
Not guilty, whatever.
What? You're the worst son of a... I think he's guilty.
Does anybody else here think that the boy is guilty?
No, I'm convinced. I say not guilty.
What is the matter with you?
I now have a reasonable doubt.
It's 11 to 1.
Well, what about all the other evidence? The knife and all that other stuff?
You said we can throw out all the other evidence.
Well, what do you want?
You are alone.
I don't care whether I'm alone or not. It's my right.
It's your right.
Well, what? I say he's guilty.
We want your argument.
I gave you my arguments.
We want to hear more. We are not convinced. We have all the time that it takes.
Every single thing. But I mean everything that came out in that courtroom says the kid is guilty. Do you think I'm an idiot or something? You lousy bunch of bleeding hearts. You're not going to intimidate me. I am entitled to my opinion, and I can sit in this goddamn room for a year if I want to. because he found one like it? The old man saw him right there on the stairs. Every single. The knife falling through a hole in his pockets. You can prove that he didn't get to the door. And what is the difference how many seconds it took? Well, sure, you can huddle around the room all you want. It doesn't prove anything. However, that's up with the glasses. How do you know she didn't have them on? The woman testified in court. I'm telling you, everything has been twisted and turned in here. Well, what do you want? That's it. That's the whole case. Or that thing about hearing the boy yell. He said, I'm gonna kill you, to his own father. I don't care what kind of a man it was. It's family. And he raised them all alone. All alone. God damn. Kid. I know him. What they're like. What they do to you. How they kill you every day. My God, don't you see? How come I'm the only one who sees?
It's not your boy. It's somebody else.
Let him live.
All right. Nothing. We have a verdict. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, let's take your seats in the jury box.